Oh, it says it's recording started, but I'm gonna start having you on more.
Okay.
I think you're a great, a person to talk to.
Hey, I am more than willing to talk, and I am more than willing to hang out with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're a great person. So, man, it's
I
funny how we met too. It's so
I
funny.
try. Yeah, I know. It's a dude, I'm telling you, like everyone in this whole entire like industry, then like the podcast stuff, it's just like everyone that has a podcast wants to talk.
Yeah,
So might as well talk to them.
right.
That's my thing.
Wholeheartedly agree. But what's good is Down a Limb. So hosted by me, Adam Mikuleshko. But today, Mason Hall. He was on. I was on his Loaded Bases podcast last week.
Yep.
We literally met 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Yep.
to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
through David Payne, where I did his Call to the Bullpen podcast. We met it when I was trying out for professional baseball, and luckily it all worked out. But yeah, so we got that, and then we met through David as we were getting a baseball network going. So follow that on Twitter.
Yep.
But yeah, Mason, me and him like clicked right away. He gets it, and he interviews minor leaguers, so he asked me to be on. But now
Yes,
he's on
sir.
mine because I was like, Mason, I was like, this is too easy of a podcast. Like, this is gonna be one of my favorite podcasts. I already know it.
Hey, well, I really, really appreciate that for sure. Really appreciate
No,
that.
yeah, I mean, it just like I had a blast on your podcast. I don't. Did they ever fix the green screen? Did the green screen get
Nope.
fixed?
I tried my absolute hardest, but
Yeah,
I couldn't figure out how to do that. So yeah, so that podcast drops tomorrow,
yeah.
and then the YouTube will drop Wednesday. So I still got like one more day to try and fix it. But if
I don't know
not, dude,
how.
you
Yeah,
just got a green face, bro. You just got a
that's
green
fine.
face.
That's fine. It's okay. I turned into the Hulk for a couple
Let's
hours.
go.
But so anyway, so Mason taught me something on his podcast. He like literally went in there with one question, what do you do?
Yes,
And
sir.
so I was like, I'm gonna test this out because usually I always have a list of questions, and I'll probably still end up doing that just because I now out of habit. But I want to try out the winging it and seeing what it's like. So yeah, what do you do?
What do I do? So from 8 to 5, I do accounting. I look at
No
numbers
way, you're an
all day long.
accountant?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so yeah, bro. Like, so I look at numbers all day long, and I have two monitors, and my other monitor has Twitter on all day long. So what I do after, I guess, during work and after work, uh, I host a podcast called the Loaded Bases Podcast, and talk to minor leaguers and people like all across baseball, and we just have fun. And it's pretty much like a relaxed conversation.
Mhm.
Drink a beer and hang out.
Dude, I mean, we're gonna get to the Loaded Bases podcast, but I mean, did you tell me you were an accountant before? Because I feel like you
No,
didn't. Yeah, I
nope,
was gonna say because I would have
no one knows.
I would have clicked on that right away just because. So when I was at school at Penn State, that was by far the hardest class I've ever taken in my life.
Dude, do you want to hear something funny?
Let's hear it. You don't do that,
I've
right?
I've dropped out of college 3 times, but now I do accounting because there's a spot open, like at the company like that I work at,
Yeah.
and I applied for it like for shits and gigs, and I got it. So now it's pretty much yeah. So I was like trained on the job and just like all that stuff, and now I know how to do it. It's
Dude,
weird, man. I'm telling you.
it is. Well, I'll tell you firsthand. It was a basic accounting course that I struggled in, and
Yeah,
I never failed a class in my life. Like that was like my biggest thing since from kindergarten to college, right?
yeah.
And um, I don't know when I was at Penn State, I was really struggling with this class. I try to take it a step farther. I have a meeting with the teacher. It got to the point where I met the director of accounting at Penn State.
Yeah.
And lady was awesome. Meeting was awesome. And she, for whatever reason, she told me this. She goes, she goes, I don't know why. I think she said that, but all I do remember what she said is, she said for basic accounting at Penn State is one of the hardest classes taken at Penn State. And
No shit.
it's literally a basic accounting course, and it was
Yeah,
kicking my ass.
dude. I mean, I'm naturally like a number guy. Like
Hmm.
I'm like I would be that kid that never studied, but would still get like really good like test scores, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone like would hate me for it. But it I don't know. I mean, like for some reason, I just like I like train my brain to think baseball terms,
Yeah.
and then therefore it just comes like a lot easier. Like if that makes
That
sense.
yeah, no, well, so what I was told in school is, well, in that class is,
Yeah.
well, she told me this. She said accounting is a second language essentially.
Yep.
And the thing, I guess the thing that was really bothering me was word problems. It was like the
Yeah.
math is insanely easy. I get that math, but I just didn't understand the terms and everything, and there was so much. So I applaud you for what you do because I know that shit is so hard.
Dude, it's fun. I mean, like once you get like on like a certain level, like you just cruise, bro. It's just. I mean, like it's fun. I think it's fun. On it, it's
Was it hard to like start up at first, like when you got in there, where you're like, shit, what is this?
not really. It was just well, actually, yeah, I lied. I guess it's more. It was more like it was very like overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But then like my boss was gone for a week with COVID, and she was like so sick like that she couldn't like go to the computer. So I had to cover for her, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. So then so so then I asked my coworker, and then she's just like, well, I mean, we're gonna have to figure it out. So I'm like, okay. And then I am glad that my boss was out that week, because like if I didn't have to cover for her, I wouldn't learn what I learned. So
Well, did you?
was
Is it? Are you with like a bunch? Are you with like older people or younger people, or is there a mix?
I am the youngest person in my office, and the
Okay.
second closest is probably like mid 40s. So like
Okay.
yeah, so I'm the baby.
Well, it's funny because the reason why I asked it is so. I think I told you on your podcast, which by the
Yeah.
way, this podcast we're about to put out, because I'm gonna unedit it like you did, and I'm really
Good.
just putting it out, and I'm gonna put it out before I have like seven or eight other podcasts I need to put out still,
Oh
and
damn.
it from dating back from last year, and it's not even that I'm like I'm forgetting about it. It's just it's very time consuming, and then with my schedule, it's like it's so hard to just sit down sometimes, and I'm
Yeah.
getting mad at myself. So I am pushing them now. I'm like getting to them now, but like I'm not even gonna tell anybody when they're out because I'm kind of embarrassed that it took this long.
Yeah.
But
Dude, yeah, just don't edit, just get that out. It's
yeah,
like
well, there's
I think it
sometimes
takes
well, sometimes people say something on there that they ask me to take out, and then
Yeah.
I end up looking back on it because like I don't want to make anyone like not regret saying anything.
Dude, that's the best advice that I will give anyone. Don't regret shit. Just go and do. I mean, because like if it's meant to be,
Yeah,
it'll be.
that's fair.
You just gotta let the universe just take control.
That's fair. But yeah, I'm sorry. I went off topic really quick, but to
Dude,
get
you're
back to that
good.
point, my friend, he so like I think I said this on your podcast that I'm a huge person of like who's in my entourage, who I want to build myself
Yeah, for
around,
sure.
like true friends. And my friend Mike Gazik, shout out to him. He maybe I'll have him on a podcast. He's a really nice guy, and like he told me in his office he's the youngest person by far.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, where are all the young people from accounting going? And he said big cities, people go there. So
Yep.
he thought different, went local, and dude, he just had a couple companies like fighting over him, like to see where he's gonna get his next job, because the dude is insanely smart. Like he was doing like some crazy stuff at their company. Like,
Yeah.
people were expecting him to do shit, and so I was like, if there was a drafting of accountants, I was like, he might have to go number one.
Always, hey, you gotta learn everything.
Yeah.
Like so you're always useful.
Shit is too funny. But okay, so I'm sorry. So we got way off topic.
Dude, this is your podcast.
No, this is your podcast.
This is your podcast.
It's mine, but
this is my episode, but your podcast.
Okay, this is your episode. But so okay, I know you're a huge Cubs fan. I mean, I love the shirt.
Oh yeah.
I know you're getting my friend Joe Nahas on soon.
I got him on I think Wednesday.
Okay, because I think I'm gonna work out with him Wednesday. I think maybe I'll see. But Yeah. So, have you had any other Cubs players on your podcast?
I've had I've had a few. I mean, like I had a minor league coach on mine.
Okay.
But he was released by the like it, like the organization. And then one other guy, Josh Bergman. He's a
Okay.
pitcher, and so he's from Canada, and then he went to University of Washington. So it's kind
Okay.
of like a yeah. I mean, like so we connected over that. But yeah,
Okay.
dude. Like other than that, I haven't had any Cubs guys. I mean,
Well,
I've had a Cubs fan. I've had a
interesting.
Cubs fan, and then I know I have one coming up with the owner and founder of Obvious Shirts. So I'm gonna get Joe on the podcast.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Well, when did you decide to start loaded bases? I think you kind of mentioned in my episode, but your podcast. But when did you what made you like get this idea?
So when I stopped playing baseball back in like 2015, I was glad that I was done playing, so I could be more of like a fan of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But then from 2016 to 2019, I was like all into it. But then and I've always liked the more like the in-depth stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when 2020 happened, and then when spring training just stopped, it was kind of like I was waiting for baseball like to come back. So, but then in like late April, May, I was like, you know what, fuck this, like I'm gonna bring baseball to me. So, but I didn't know how. But I knew that I wanted to start a podcast. I didn't know the name. I didn't know anything. So yeah, so I bought like a $40 mic, and I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like and I thought I was gonna be like me just like recording and then just like putting it out, because people have like always like told me to just start a podcast and just like talk about baseball. But baseball is boring to talk about. I mean, like
You got to make it way to have fun
yeah,
for sure.
exactly. I mean, like what what happens on the field is, I mean, is like, kind of boring, but like the journeys to get to where you are on the field
Mm-hmm.
are like the exciting ones. Like yours, I mean, like your journey, like you did three workouts today.
Mm-hmm.
It's an absolute grind to get like where you're at.
Yeah, it's hard for sure.
Yeah, and so I mean, and then I kind of like found like what I want to do is like talk to people about like their journeys and then like how they got to like where they're at, and now it's just keep on going.
Well, I mean, you create, I would say, a little following. I mean, yours is definitely getting up there. I would say, there's this guy, and I know, I mean, I'm giving an example because I don't think you guys will be able to connect just because he does basketball and you're baseball, but he has a podcast out in Kansas. It's called Ain't No Podcast, or Ain't No Seat, I think it's called. And
Mm-hmm.
I had him on with my friend who's a big Chiefs fan, and but he started a podcast just like, like similar kind of story, like just randomly started it. And but like it's a big thing now. Like they have like shirts out there that they send he's a big KU basketball fan, like huge KU. And he like sends their shirts to them, and the players would rep it before games, and like he created such a following. So I mean, I bet you could easily do that with what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, like that's pretty much like what like I'm trying to do. It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole entire. I mean, like I don't really have like an end goal. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I'm just like putting out content, like stuff that I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes back to like the part like where it's just like I don't regret like publishing anything. I mean,
Right.
it's like I never hit like delete like on a tweet. I just say like what I want to
Wow.
say,
Interesting.
and I just put out content. Like it's I mean, like honestly, like starting the podcast is pretty much like a huge thing for me. So I mean, like as like a personal goal, just like to do it. But now just just cruise.
Well, I mean, that's freaking cool. So, well, okay, so I'm gonna ask you, you can answer it any way you want.